How exciting is it for you to direct a movie that's going to premiere here at South by?
I mean, really there are no words in any language to really express how I feel. I feel like this film has lived inside me for a really long time. And as a director, I've really had to make sure that I stay true to that story, for sure. But I always just wondered, are people going to be able to see what I see as well? And so the fact that South by Southwest sees something and we're here, I mean, wow.
How was it working with Marlee and Lauren to kind of bring this story to life, because they are such important actresses that so many of us have loved for years?
I think I feel kind of the opposite. Like, they, yes, have brought the story to me to see what they both have been going through and like what kind of box it is that our world likes to put specific people in. And I feel like I knew I couldn't tell this story without Lauren Ridloff and without Marlee Matlin, but to be able to put things into context for everyone, I always felt like, you know, Marlee has been the one who's really had to make a path, who's really had to navigate first and foremost. And so for me to come after her, I could see the path that she was paving. But then to see Lauren Ridloff and through that path in a different time, in a different light, but also to see just how much remains the same for us, it is so important. And I knew that both of them were really an important part of this story. And if both of them weren't part of the story, I couldn't have been able to tell it. The story that I knew that I had to tell.
Last quick thing, I love that it is all women who are telling this story. How important was it for you to have an all women-led team?
Why was it important to tell Marlee's story?
I mean, it was so important. I knew that I wanted to tell Marlee's story the way that I knew that she saw herself. And I knew that in order to remain true with her story, I had to tell it differently. And I think that women are always so used to having to make ourselves fit and make ourselves smaller. And I knew that having a mostly female-led team would lead me to really do this story in a way that it had to be told. And it was just really magical. It's been full of joy. It's been full of excitement, and it was work. It was challenging, but we were still able to really just be grateful. I'm grateful because that doesn't happen very often.
To start, I love all of the work that you have done in the fandom space, and as much as Marlee is a pioneer for representation, you are in that space. How has it been throughout your career to kind of meet fans and see what your work has done for them?
Well, I have so many stories actually about that. I think one of my favorite things after being on The Walking Dead, I felt like my character, her interactions that she had with Daryl, really opened the floodgates for people to realize that there's different ways to interact with people who sign. You know, signing is always a great way to communicate, but it's not the only way. There are options, and I thought that was very powerful. You know, TV and film have the power to educate and influence.
Yeah, and I truly, speaking to that, it made me think of the scene between Druig and Makari when he says "miss me" to her, and it really resonated with so many fans, whether they were of hearing or not. For you, when you get to see that kind of fan reaction online, does that mean a lot to you that so many people kind of fell in love with characters in that way?
Yeah, it really is. It's so touching. I still have no idea what even happened. You know, it's so interesting. Barry and I were so surprised when we saw the final results. It's like, oh, that's how Druig and Makari look on screen. It's a romance. Okay, kind of hot.
I agree, it is kind of hot. With a movie like this, it is so important, but how excited are you that it's premiering at South by? Because I heard you live here, and so since it's at your own home, how does it feel to kind of be here?
It's a gift. It is, truly. It's a gift because I'm so proud of what the deaf community is achieving right now. This documentary is so special because it's a deaf director, Shoshannah Sturm. Obviously Marlee is an Oscar winner. I feel that it's telling a deaf person's story, but through a deaf person's eyes, which is so powerful. It establishes that common of framing that we desperately have wanted for so long.
Yeah, and how does it feel that it is a female-led team? Because I do love that it is all women who are behind this film.
I know, I love it. It's so badass, right? And I love how Shoshannah and Marlee did the interviews just sitting there on the couch in their socks. Let's get to the truth. Let's get real.
I loved it. For a last quick thing, I just want to say thank you so much. I love all of your characters, so it's really an honor to talk to you today.
My pleasure talking with you also.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Who are you?
Doing great. So to start, Spring Awakening is my favorite musical, so seeing you in the Deaf West production was so amazing. So I wanted to ask, when you work with Deaf West, how important is it for you to bring those kind of musicals all around the country? Because I saw it when it was in New York.
It was a lot of fun doing Spring Awakening on Broadway, and it was a lot of work, but it was great. I enjoyed. Listen, I love music, and I love all music, but Billy Joel in particular. But and he knows that too, by the way. But if you have the wherewithal to be an actor who likes music, because there are a lot of deaf people who can sign music, then why not try out? I mean, I love to see when concerts are signed. I love to see when shows are signed. A lot of times we'll see hearing actors do that, but I think it would be nice to have deaf people who can do that. And that's what doing a musical like that does for me and does for them. It's nice to see those opportunities like Spring Awakening expand, because a lot of times you'll just see a lot of hearing people sign musicals, but on stage I think it's important. Musicals are just so fun to do in general, and when you see them in sign language, and if you like music, they're great.
Yeah, I loved it. And with a movie like this, what was the most surprising thing you realized while making a documentary about yourself?
There were a lot of things that really, in the film, really surprised me that I wasn't really aware of until they put it all together. Particularly how I was treated by reporters back then, who I thought as my friends, who then ended up, I guess because I was so young, I didn't realize the lack of understanding when it came to deaf people, where I came from, and the fact that there was a lack of, I just wasn't clued into it. I didn't get why they would talk to me in a sort of a degrading fashion. And there was one example in the film where they said that you're doing a small little role, so how do you feel about that? And I'm like, you know what? I remember thinking to myself, a role is a role. It doesn't matter if it's small, big or small, it doesn't matter. If they said that today to me, I think heads would roll. I'd probably get up and walk out, so. But I just look at myself and go, oh, okay, I was young. I didn't know how to react. But I just went with it, and I just kept on rolling. That's all I could do. I'm glad that Shoshannah had the opportunity to show all these examples of how I managed to persevere, and how in the end they looked more foolish, and how just by the way they treated me, not just them, but people in general treated us as people who are deaf. And I hope they'll realize and come to the realization that we all went through what we all went through.
I cannot wait to see the movie. And before I leave, I love all of your tattoos. Because I have a bunch too. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.